Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about 100 things that you can declutter before 2019. Now obviously that is a lot of stuff to pack into just one video, which is why I've actually split it into two. Today we're going to be talking about 50 things that you can declutter before 2019, and if you want to see the other 50 in the list, you can go ahead and check this video out here. You can watch that either right now or at the end of this video. I'll also have it linked. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this. Before we do though, my name is Ashlynne, for those of you who don't know me yet, and I make videos twice a week on this channel about minimalism and intentional living. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I would totally love it if you would consider hitting that red subscribe button down below. And the other thing I want to say is don't take this list as you have to declutter every single one of these. This list is meant for inspiration. I want you to take this list and apply it to your own life. Evaluate the possessions you have and consider, do I use this? Does this add value to my life? Do I love it? If something meets those criteria, then by all means keep it. But if something isn't adding value to your life, if it's just cluttering up your space, your mind, your home, then go ahead and feel free to declutter it and use this list as inspiration and guidance. With that being said though, let's go ahead and start off by talking about the first one, which is old prom or formal dresses, or if you're a guy, old tuxes and suits. I think that these are often items that we buy for a specific event and never really wear again afterwards. Consider decluttering it. I definitely have done that with mine, and I think it was for the best. Number two is freebie and promotional t-shirts. There are so many different organizations and events that will give you a free t-shirt, whether it be a 5K run, a summer camp you went to when you were younger, etc, etc, etc. If this is a situation you find yourself in, go ahead and declutter any freebie shirt that doesn't hold extreme sentimental value for you. Number three is clothing that doesn't match your climate. And personally, I'm guilty of this because I'm Canadian and part of me thinks, oh, I need so many sweaters and I need all the winter clothes. But if I'm completely honest, in North Carolina where I live, we get 6 months of summer and like 1 of winter. Just go ahead and consider what your climate is and keep the clothing that's appropriate to your climate. It's always good to have, a couple items for when the weather is colder or warmer, but it by far should not comprise the majority of your closet. Number four, extra buttons. Every dress shirt comes with these, and I know that for me personally at least, I never remember which buttons go to which shirt. So on the whole, I would suggest decluttering this, especially if you've been holding on to a lot of them, many of which belong to shirts that you no longer own in the first place. 5 is single gloves and mittens, and I guess I could tack onto this duplicate gloves and mittens. To be completely honest, even if you live in Canada, you probably don't need more than 2 or 3 pairs of gloves/mittens. So if you have any spare ones that, just are missing their other half, definitely go ahead and declutter those. And if you have too many, definitely go ahead and declutter that as well. Number 6 is old prescription glasses. If your prescription has changed and you're no longer able to see out of the glasses that you used to have, I'm not entirely sure why you would want to continue holding on to those, but yeah, I would just suggest decluttering them since they're not going to be really usable to you. Number 7, clothes that don't fit. If the clothes don't fit you, don't try to hold on to them, whether they're too big or too small. Just accept the weight that you are, accept who you are as a person, and unless your body size is going through some kind of radical transformation, I would just suggest decluttering anything that you haven't fit into, probably especially in the last 6 months. 8, clothes that are out of style. Now I'm not saying that you should declutter every single thing that's out of style, or out of fashion I should say, because what's out of fashion for the world might be in style for you. But what I am saying is that if you bought something that was really trendy at the time, and you bought it because it was trendy, and it now isn't, I wouldn't suggest holding on to something like that. Because if you bought it because it was a trend, not because it suited your personal style, you're not probably getting use out of it. And so especially in that situation, I would definitely consider decluttering that item. I'm guessing by this point you've probably caught the drift that we're talking about clothing. Number 9 is aspirational clothing. And a lot of us have someone we want to be in our heads that maybe doesn't fit with who we are, our lifestyle, and our personal style. I would go ahead and just get rid of that. Number 10 is underwear with broken elastics. Nobody wants to keep these, and for some reason we still do anyways. If you need to, invest in new underwear, but once a pair of underwear or bra has outlived its usefulness, just go ahead and get rid of it. Along these lines, single socks are not something that you should keep around in your house. If you have these, definitely go ahead and declutter them. Number 12 is uncomfortable shoes. If you get blisters from the shoes that you are wearing, if you can't walk in them properly, those are not shoes that you should be keeping around. Now, I'm not saying don't break in your shoes, but if you've been wearing them for a while and they're still uncomfortable and they're still giving you blisters, go ahead and get rid of them. 13 is worn out shoes, and I feel like running shoes in particular are one of those items that we will wear long past when we should. If you are, starting to develop holes in the soles of your shoes that are unfixable, if your laces are breaking, if your shoes are falling apart at the seams, go ahead and declutter them and invest in a new pair of shoes. That's when you know that you've gotten the full use out of the item. 14 is tarnished and cheaply made jewelry. If you have jewelry that is turning green, or the color is fading off of it, or it is a bucket of rust, and because it's cheaply made, it's not going to be able to be polished, I would definitely go ahead and declutter it. If you've invested in something high quality that's tarnished, obviously you can clean that, but if it's cheaply made jewelry, there's not really much you can do. Number 15 is single earrings, and unless you're a huge fan of the one earring look, if you have a single earring, I would really just go ahead and declutter it for whatever reason. Actually, we all know what reason it is. Earrings get lost really easily, so if you've got single earrings, go ahead and get rid of them. 16 is stockings with runs, and I don't know any use for a pair of stockings after it gets runs, except that you confuse it with the other stockings that you have, and then you end up putting on the stockings with runs in them, realize that they have runs, and then have to find a pair that doesn't. So if you have stockings with runs, for your own sanity, go ahead and declutter them. 17 is stained clothing you can't clean, and as hard as you try, there are some pieces of clothing that the stain is just too deep and it won't come out. If that's a situation you find yourself in, go ahead and declutter that item. We talked about this with shoes, but it applies to clothing as well. If you have clothing that's worn out, that has seen better days, that is pilling beyond belief, or is getting holes in it because you've worn it so much, go ahead and declutter it. That item has lived a, probably long, hopefully fulfilling life, and it's just time to let it go. 19 is clothes that you haven't worn in the past year. A really good judge of whether or not you're actually getting use in it. Value from a piece of clothing is whether or not you're actually wearing it. So if you haven't worn an item of clothing in the past year, or maybe even the past 6 months, I would highly recommend considering at least decluttering it. 20 is anything with faux leather that is flaking off. This can be a purse, a belt, a piece of clothing, whatever. If you've got something that's faux leather that is just flaking, go ahead and declutter it. That is not a good look. Number 21 is scarves that you never wear, and I think a lot of us have more scarves than we actually use on a regular basis. I know that at one point I had upwards of 15, and I would probably wear them a couple times a month, which meant that there were tons of them that I basically never wore. So if this is a situation you find yourself in, go through your scarves, be honest with yourself, and only keep those that you actually use. 22 is purses you don't use. I really suggest only keeping your most versatile, your most usable purses, and then decluttering everything else. So go ahead and be honest with yourself. If you're not using your purses, go ahead and declutter any ones that you're just not getting value from. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about some more miscellaneous items. 23 is receipts. If you have old receipts, and I know that this is one of the easiest things to just accumulate because you have to constantly stay on top of it, go ahead and declutter any old receipts. 24 is membership cards, and if you have, membership cards, club cards, points cards, rewards cards to different, local businesses, chain stores, anything like that, go ahead and declutter those unless you use it on a highly regular basis. 25 is old electronics, and if you have electronics that you have since replaced with a newer version of, say, you got a new iPhone but you kept your old one, don't bother doing that. Honestly, by the time that you're replacing your phone, it's gone down significantly in value. I would suggest, if it's still worth something, selling it for what remaining value it has, but honestly, it's just time to get rid of it. Number 26 is treat food that your pets don't like. If you have bought treat food for your pets and they aren't a huge fan, or really just dog food, cat food of any kind that they don't like, go ahead and declutter it. Along those lines, 27 is toys your pets don't like. I think a lot of times pet owners will buy tons and tons of toys for their pets, and they will typically only play with a select few of them. Keep only the toys for your pet that they actually use on a regular basis and that they like. If they have toys that they never use, not too much point in keeping that around. And then 28, the last one concerning pets, is that if you've had a farmer pet and you still have a lot of the paraphernalia associated with keeping a pet still around your house, I would definitely go ahead and declutter that. Okay, 29 is empty pens, or just worn out pencils. If you have reached the end of the useful life of a pen or pencil, or maybe the pen just doesn't work for you, go ahead and declutter those. 30 is phone books, and I'm not completely sure why people still have these around, but if you have one of these, you can definitely go ahead and consider decluttering it. The internet these days can provide pretty much any phone number that you could possibly need. 31 is takeout paraphernalia, so sauces, chopsticks, salt and pepper, plastic cutlery. If you have any of this stuff from different times that you've gotten takeout, stuffed away in a drawer like I know a lot of people do, definitely go ahead and declutter that stuff. 32 is extra cables or broken cables. If you have cables that don't work anywhere, obviously go ahead and declutter those. You can recycle them at any store like Best Buy that does electronic recycling. Also, if you have extra cables though that you don't know what they go to, chances are you've gotten rid of the electronic that they were associated with, so go ahead and declutter those as well. 33 is obscure or duplicate cleaning supplies. Sometimes it can feel like there's a cleaning product for every occasion, but I find that a lot of times using a multi-purpose cleaner is really a better option than having, 20 different really niche cleaning products. So definitely consider decluttering those really obscure cleaning products. 34 is plastic and paper bags, and I know I'm guilty of this personally. I use reusable bags whenever I can, but sometimes you're in a situation where you don't have a bag on you and you end up getting a plastic or a paper bag and have the best intentions of recycling them, but they sit around in your closet for literally months on end without you ever getting rid of them. Get rid of them responsibly, but get rid of them. 35 is unused Christmas decor. Sometimes you just have Christmas decor that you don't like, or that you don't use, or that doesn't bring you joy, and if any of those things is true, go ahead and declutter that item. I'm totally a fan of decorating for Christmas, but I really do think that you should do it intentionally and do it in a way that brings you joy, because that's what the season is all about. 36 is extra and mismatched hangers. If you have decluttered everything like we just talked about in that first half of this video, if you've gone through your closet and have decluttered a ton of different items, you're probably going to end up with a ton of extra hangers, so I would definitely go ahead and donate those. Old gift bags and wrapping paper. If you have like little shards of wrapping paper or tons and tons of extra gift bags, especially ones that you'd never plan on reusing, I would definitely go ahead and declutter those. I'm definitely a fan of holding on to a bit of wrapping paper and a bit of gift bag in case you're ever wanting to give a gift to someone, but having excessive amounts I don't think is necessary. 38 is expired and dead batteries. Over time, batteries will lose their usability and they do actually expire, so definitely go ahead and consider that if you have batteries that have been hanging around for way too long. Also, if you have dead batteries, definitely don't go ahead and hold on to those, because honestly you're just going to confuse them with the batteries you have that actually work. 39 is unused sports equipment, and if you don't actually use the sports equipment that you have on a regular basis, maybe you played a sport when you were younger but you still have all the equipment associated with it, even though it's been a long time since you actually played that particular sport, definitely go ahead and declutter it. This is also true of sports equipment if you have kids that your kids have grown out of. If they no longer fit into the sports equipment that you have, definitely that's a candidate for decluttering as well. Number 40 is manuals, whether that's a furniture manual, an appliance manual, really any kind of how-to instruction book of fixing something. Figure out how to use it once, but there's not too much point in keeping that around. Definitely declutter those, because to be honest, any information you're really wanting to find regarding that can probably be found online. 41 is party supplies. A lot of times we will buy supplies to decorate for a big event that we're having, but then not go ahead and declutter it afterwards. If you have a bunch of party supplies left over from an event that you had of whatever kind, go ahead and declutter those. 42 is empty boxes or mailers, and I know I'm guilty of this one personally. Is I'll receive a box or a mailer and hold on to it for months and months and months, and they'll kind of pile up. Evaluate what's practical for you to keep, how much do you actually have to mail out, and and then just declutter anything that doesn't fit into that. 43 is duplicate tools. If you have duplicate tools of any kind, go ahead and declutter those. And also, I'll tack onto that, if you have any tools that you never use, maybe you bought once or it was gifted to you, but you've never actually used it, go ahead and declutter those as well. 44 is unused art supplies, and I think that for a lot of us, we want to express our creativity through art, but maybe we never actually get around to using the supplies that you have, or maybe you just have way too many of them and the paint that you bought has gone dry. Really just go ahead and evaluate what supplies you actually use as far as art goes and declutter whatever you're not getting, actual use out of. 45 is outgrown toys or books. This is especially true if you have kids. Kids go through so many different stages in such a small span of years, and if there are toys that your kids are no longer playing with, books that they're no longer reading, they've passed that, grade reading level, go ahead and declutter them, let some other family get use of them. 46 is VHS tapes, and if you're still holding on to these, I'm not particularly sure why. You can either go ahead and put them on a DVD or you can digitize them. There are tools for doing that. But I definitely wouldn't go ahead and hold on to the VHS. 47 is books that you've already read, and unless you plan on rereading it over and over again in your life or using it as a reference book, I would really just suggest decluttering a book once you've read it. If it's something that I read once, enjoyed the experience, and don't plan to read it again, I would really just declutter that. If you have a book that you bought or was given to you that you never planned to read, go ahead and declutter that. If you're not planning to get value from it through the experience of reading, there's no point in holding on to it. Almost done here. 49 is gifts that you don't love. If you were given a gift that you aren't absolutely in love with or that you don't plan to use, I would go ahead and declutter it. Once the gift is given, it is for the giftee, not the giver. And so if the giftee, you, isn't getting value from that item, go ahead and declutter it. And then finally, number 50 is sentimental items that aren't so sentimental anymore. If there's something that you held on to initially for sentimental reasons, but have since then kind of realized that maybe it doesn't hold the same value as it used to for you, you can definitely go ahead and declutter that. Anyways, guys, those are my ideas for 100 things that you can get rid of before 2019. I know that after the last video, some of you were asking if I could put this in a PDF checklist for you to go through, and I thought that was a great idea, so I definitely went ahead and created that. If you check out the link in this description box below, you can go ahead and register for that. And I will go ahead and send that off to you. Also, I don't know about you, but this video has definitely inspired me to start decluttering again. So I've decided that I'm going to play the minimalism game, which essentially means that over the course of the next 30 days, I'm going to be decluttering about 500 items, kind of going day 1 item, day 2 items, day 3 items, and so on. So if you want to go ahead and join me for that, I'm going to be playing the minimalism game over on Instagram. So go ahead and follow me there at Ashlynne Eaton, and I'm going to be posting on stories every single day what I'm decluttering for that particular day of the month. Also, if you enjoyed this video, definitely go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it, and if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would consider subscribing today. Thank you so much for watching. I've had a lot of fun putting these videos together for you, and I hope that you have a great day. See you in the next one.